Coordinated, episode 234, live at the AP Annual Conference.
Greetings, AP coordinators. Derek here, Senior Director, AP Coordinator Experience for the AP program and former AP coordinator.
And I'm Karli Suge, School Counselor and AP Coordinator.
Today is Friday, July 26th, and we are live. We are live in Las Vegas, Nevada at the AP Annual Conference.
Microphone on, spotlight on, live audience, amazing. It's time to get coordinated.
Good morning, Karli.
Good morning, Derek.
How are you doing? It's Friday. It's the second full day of the AP Annual Conference. How's your conference been so far?
My conference has been amazing so far. This is, believe it or not, this is my first AP Annual Conference, and it is such a wonderful opportunity to be physically in the room with other AP coordinators, AP teachers, principals, college board staff, all in the same place, just connecting and talking about what we do for students and having that opportunity to meet and talk. And it's been so fun. And being in Vegas helps.
Yes, it's hard not to have a good time in Las Vegas for sure. It's a great venue here at the conference at the hotel property that we're at. And I think I heard there's something like 3,000 educators here, which is amazing. And it's so great to have that one thing in common with everybody who's here. And that's a passion for AP, a passion for helping to provide opportunities for our students through AP. So it's just like super amazing energy. It's so great. I know for College Board staff, it's really invigorating. As a former educator, I was lucky enough to attend the conference a few times when I was still working at my former high school. Loved it then. So seeing it from both sides, it's really amazing. So Karli, I know you and I, of course, know each other a little bit, and we've had a chance to talk a few times. But could you share a little bit about your role? You're still at a school, not formally at a school. You're still at a school, but you've been at a few schools already, right? Can you tell us about it?
Yes. So I am a school counselor. I'm also an AP coordinator, a current AP coordinator. And this is the third high school in which I have been selected to be the AP coordinator. So this is my 8th year at my current high school. Still the AP coordinator. We are alpha split at our high school, meaning that I have a certain section of the alphabet in which I'm a counselor for. We're kind of having a restructure this year. We're moving to grade level. So I am current 9th grade counselor at Costa Mesa High School, and I'll be following those students through to senior year.
Great. And so you're down in Southern California at Costa Mesa. And how big is your school and your AP program there?
Yes. So I'm in the better part of California. Our program, we have about 1,200 students at our high school. I give about 500, 550 exams a year. And it's the happiest place in Southern California.
Yes, I will attest to that. It's a pretty amazing place. Your location, your students are amazing. I love the energy and having the chance to visit your school. Your faculty, amazing. Your administration, amazing. Your counseling department, of course, amazing. So it's a great place to be. It might be one of the happiest places on earth. I think there might be a big amusement park nearby you that might claim to be the happiest place on earth. So you're at Costa Mesa now, but you were at Costa Mesa before, if I remember correctly.
Yes, you do. I have been in Costa Mesa forever. I am an alumni of my high school. So I went to the high school. My dad went to the high school. My husband went to the high school. So it's my place. It's my place. It's my people. I'm so happy to be there. It's an amazing just spot to be able to invest in a community that invested in me. And I don't see myself going anywhere anytime soon. No. Costa Mesa is where it's at.
Yes, having that opportunity to give back to the same community, the same families, the same environment that helped develop you into the amazing person you are now.
Right.
It's pretty awesome. Pretty awesome. I don't think. Yeah, I think you'll be there a while.
Yeah.
I suspect you'll be there a while.
Yes.
All right.
Okay. I don't do this very often, but I'm going to move the spotlight towards Derek and ask you a couple questions,
Usually
put you on the
she's
spot.
That's correct. Usually she's trying to steal the spotlight in the
Yeah,
podcast.
it's not
Please.
hard. Okay, Derek. So, how did you get involved in AP? Kind of what's your route to the AP program?
That is, there's a short version to the question, and I was voluntold to be the AP coordinator. It was not something I had expected at my former school. I had my very first year on campus. I had a role in which I was able to do some proctoring. So at that first year, I was recruited to be a proctor and got involved with proctoring AP exams with the AP coordinator at that time, who was amazing, did a great job, had everything so organized. So proctoring was, I would say, relatively easy because everything was so structured and we had this great system set up. And we were actually at that time, we were testing offsite. So there were some additional challenges with that. We were busing kids to the offsite location. I remember standing outside with a checklist at the bus, checking students out and in and making sure that everybody everybody who got on the bus got off the bus and things like that. So it was a lot of fun. Uh, it's actually, I mean that it was a lot of fun. We had a good time. We had a good crew of proctors, and again, the AP coordinator at the time was super great, a great leader, and that's how I got involved in it. Subsequently, that person left the school. The person who was the AP coordinator left the school. The head of school, reached out to me during about I want to say it was like maybe a week before school started, and said, guess what, Derek? You are our new AP coordinator.
Mhm.
So that was an unexpected challenge, but fortunately, I had great colleagues who helped support the work we were trying to do at our school. And I had a chance to connect with a few folks at College Board at the time. We didn't do quite the same types of training and support that we have now, but kind of the typical story. I grabbed the manual and read the manual like page for page, sentence for sentence, word for word, all the way through, and definitely struggled through it. It's hard. Learning the job on the fly is hard, but I had a pretty good foundation already in that I had been around those 2.5 weeks of May where we were doing so much testing.
And I know a lot of people in the room or listening at home might be in that same position where they might have just discovered that they are the AP coordinator or you're new this year. So, welcome. We're so happy to have you. We're happy you're still around, Derek. And
Yes.
we hope that you stick around for more podcasts and more training. So, Derek, what was your official role at your school site?
I had a few, like anybody who's out of school, I think for an extended period of time, I had a few roles, but I served as the AP coordinator. The school I was at, we also hosted PSATs. So I administered the PSATs, basically all things testing. I think many folks can relate to that tends to be a job that the AP coordinator has. They tend to get recruited into helping with all the other testing, whether that's final exams, state testing, things like that. So I did all the testing. I also did the scheduling at the school, so helped to build the master
Mm,
schedule and schedule students actually into their courses. So I was doing sort of student enrollment way before student enrollment was required through AP registration and ordering.
right. So, where did the transition come for you to come from a school to work for College Board?
Let's see. So this is a really good question. I haven't thought about this in a while. It's been a little over 7, I think, years for me now, working for the College Board for the AP program. I was very happy at my former school and had no particular intentions of changing careers or changing employers at the time. I was very happy, very lucky to have such a great leadership at my school and great colleagues. But there's always a but or a however. However, when I had learned about the opportunity to help AP coordinators, help to guide and train and work with and alongside AP coordinators like you and many others, that was just too good of an opportunity not to investigate.
Mhm.
So one thing led to another, and I ended up being very fortunate to have the opportunity to work directly for the AP program. And time flies. So it's
Mm,
like I said, it's been I think about 7 years now.
that's amazing.
Carly, I did want to ask you, how was testing in May? How were things at Costa Mesa High School?
Oh my gosh. I feel like testing was 5 years ago. Does anyone else feel like, "Oh gosh, it feels like yesterday," and also 100 years ago? When I can put myself back in those shoes, it went great. It went wonderful. I have a fantastic group of students who are really dedicated and passionate about their classes and put in a lot of hard work to, as all of our students do, get to that finish line and take those tests. But testing went really smooth. I proctor a lot of my exams, so that is always fun for me to be around the students during testing. But it went really well. I enjoyed myself as much as I could enjoy myself administering AP exams.
It's hard to during those weeks during testing. It's hard to actually find time to enjoy
Right,
yourself. So it's good that you got
right.
at
What
least
is time?
at least a few smiles during that time.
Yeah.
We had a few new things this year. This, I should say, past school year. One of those was the NAR actually being in AP registration and ordering. How was that for you?
Woo! Um, that was amazing. I wear many hats at Costa Mesa High School. I am also the SSD coordinator. I know some of you are in this room as well, and some of you listening at home. But having it in one place was amazing. You know, anything that we can do to save time is fantastic to have that all in one place and be able to use it when you needed it for one student or all students. That's a really fantastic feature. And I appreciate that many coordinators have been suggesting things like this in the past and that we were able to do it. And that's amazing.
That's a really good point. I'm glad you brought that up. So we always appreciate the feedback that we get from coordinators, whether that's through surveys that get sent out by the AP program, or whether that's questions or comments on the AP coordinator community that come in. We do listen to those things, and we try to help in the ways that we can to try and streamline and
Mhm.
help programs, especially AP coordinators, be a little more efficient.
Mhm.
So now that was kind of a loaded question because I kind of figured your answer would be a positive one. So I'm going to take a chance here and maybe go in a direction that I'm not sure what your answer might be.
Okay.
And that I wanted to ask you, your school has computer science principals.
Yes, I know where you're going with this.
So this year we had a little thing called the personalized project reference, the PPR, that we asked schools, that we asked AP coordinators to print and distribute to students during the exam. And I guess maybe I should back up half a step. Did you host computer science principles in a digital format or in a paper format?
Computer science principles was a digital exam at my school.
So you had the digital exam, but you had to have a little paper also with the PPR.
Sure did.
How did that go?
Um, Derek, it went. It went. We survived. We're here. I think, as I previously stated, anything that saves us time is more preferred. Something that has an extra step like that does make things a little bit more difficult. I think knowing about it in advance was something that we could kind of build that time in and kind of schedule for that time. So I appreciated the advance notice of that coming out. It wasn't my favorite thing that happened during testing this year. But like I said, it went, it happened. The kids were prepared. My teacher, my computer science principal's teacher, was very good at prepping the kids to know what they needed to have in front of them, and I think that that was helpful. But yeah, you know, every administration comes with its challenges, right?
Absolutely. Now, you just mentioned it was not your favorite thing.
Right.
I think you told me a story where I'm gonna guess that this maybe was your favorite thing. I think you told me a story about when you walked by some
Oh my
students
gosh.
and maybe they said thank you.
Yes, this was. not this year. This was last year.
Last year, okay.
Shout out to last year's seniors. Yes, I was walking to my AP macroeconomics exam. This is the only story of this kind that I have. Um, and as I'm walking up, one of the kids says, "Look, it's our favorite AP coordinator." And
Aw.
everyone cheered. And it was just like such a great moment. I immediately texted Derek and was like, "You'll never believe what just happened to me." It was just a great moment to feel like they do see what we're doing and they do see how much time we're putting in. And even though it's not a super glorified position, the kids know that we're putting in a lot of work and that we're there every day and showing up and giving these exams. So I appreciated those students, but it was also a Friday exam. I think they were ready for the weekend. I think there were some more exciting things happening than just me walking up, but I'll take it.
Very good. Now you didn't happen to get a little tear in the corner of your eye, did you, when you got the cheer?
Of course I did.
Of course.
I could get teary now.
All right. All right. So Karli, one more question about testing
Mhm.
in this previous May. Did you have any need to use the extended time guides for world languages or music theory?
I didn't personally need to use those extended time guides, but I did talk to some coordinators who did use them,
Okay.
who have glowing reviews about how well it worked. I think part of there are confusion sometimes about pausing and times and how long that takes, and just having like a exact layout of that was really cuts out, again, some of that time that we used to have to go in the past and calculate it ourselves and write it down and make sure that our proctor was aware of our handwriting and what that looked like. So I think that was, from what I have heard from other coordinators, a really successful piece.
I wanted to bring that one up because one, I think one of the things we try and do is increase awareness about these guides. We have these amazing guides that we provide every year that are provided every year for extended time testing for world languages and music theory because, as you said, they are a little tricky, especially with the audio component. So we receive feedback from AP coordinators about wanting something like this. We've been out at schools testing this with students. I know I was personally at a school up in Boston, Massachusetts last year, and we were doing a little pilot test with some students there and one of our AP coordinator friends and colleagues, and helping to develop these materials so that try to take a little bit of the unnecessary confusion and stress out of those particular
Mhm.
test administrations. And those exams are staying in the current format for a few more years, so I think those guides might continue to be useful. So wanted to make sure we shouted those out.
Absolutely.
Speaking of formats of exams, digital testing, we all heard this accelerated announcement about digital testing here at the conference. And I know most folks listening to this probably received an email with this information about the accelerated plan for digital testing for AP. And I've heard great feedback about this. It seems like educators are really excited about this opportunity to jump forward and to take this next step. There's so many good reasons for doing it. How are you going to prepare for this at your school?
Hmm.
Because it's for us, right, for AP coordinators, this is a big transition to go into dive head on into this mandatory digital testing time.
Yes, I am planning to take a lot of deep breaths.
Good.
Um,
That's a very counselor statement of you. Take some deep breaths.
exactly. Um, I think it's important to note that for me and at my school, we have piloted digital testing. We were doing digital testing this last year with PSAT and computer science principles and some other exams. So we are ready in the sense that we've given them before. I think for all of us, the scale is expanding. And the most important thing is I go back into my building next Thursday, August 1st. And that week, I think it's important for me to sit with my administration and really lay it out and say, these are the things we need to plan for. I've had amazing conversations with coordinators here who have done larger scale digital testing with amazing results and are very positive about that movement going forward. And I think that is helpful to hear, getting those tips and tricks from the people in this room and the people listening at home or in the car or wherever you are washing dishes. But I think that that is one of the most important things, is just recognizing we heard the information. Now let's plan for it. Who do I need to talk to? Does my space need to change? Power, those kinds of things.
Yep. That's that sounds like a great idea to me. Like early planning and having those conversations with school leaders can't happen soon enough. I think it'll flow a lot smoother if the ball can get rolling, the digital ball can get rolling as early as possible during the school year. All
Right.
right. Well, thanks for those, Carly. I would love to. We have a great audience here in Las Vegas. I hope we have a few questions. Mark, do we have some questions?
We do have a few questions. So we'll take a step back from digital for a moment, but we will be heading back there. It's a preview of some questions coming up. Our first question is from Valerie in Pai Tao High School. What would be your biggest do's or don'ts for new and upcoming AP coordinators? And Carly, I think that's probably appropriate for you since you've done it 3 times.
Yeah. Yeah. My biggest do's and don'ts. I think the biggest do immediately, as soon as you can, is just to figure out who is on your support team. Who is, like, if you're new to the school, like, who is your maintenance team? Who helps you with paying for exams? Who helps you with proctoring? Who, just kind of getting your team together to be able to talk through like what the year looks like. As we're going into the school year, obviously the most important thing is getting your students access to AP Classroom. So knowing who your AP teachers are, and being able to give students those join codes and make those connections, I think is your immediate to-dos. But I have found that each time I take this job on, there's so many people who are willing to help with the pieces. I just needed to figure out what those pieces were. So I think going to the back to school workshops and kind of figuring out, okay, here's where I start, just seeing your starting point is all you need to focus on right now. Everything will come. And each month, we have the AP academic calendar. You can kind of see what's coming up. But I think the most important thing is just to start where you are, figure out who your team is. That could just be your administrator. It could just be, for me, it's my librarian. There's a bunch of people that could be on that team. But I think it's important to just start where you are and go from there. Oppositely, the don'ts, I would say, is don't. This is hard to do, as we're all planners in this room. Don't stress out or overthink about what's happening in May right now. So if you can just take it in piece by piece and just try to plan for the future, I think that's a lot easier of a place to start. I hope that makes sense. Just kind
I
of
think
like
so, yeah.
starting where you are and kind of going from there. Another huge thing is the resources. We have a ton of resources available to AP coordinators, whether it's live workshops or our podcast, shout out. Lots of on-demand videos, videos about specific topics that you might have questions about. So I do think if you're utilizing the resources, you're talking with your teams, there is more community in that, and you can feel less alone as the AP coordinator.
Derek, this one's for you. From Shauna in Chicago Public Schools. What are 3 bits of advice that you would give to new coordinators this year?
3 bits of advice. I think part of it, I would echo what Carly said. So as Carly was just speaking, I was thinking about there are things in the role that have a sort of a longer lead time from start to finish, from beginning to completion. And clearly one of those will be coming up with this plan to logistically support digital testing. So even though that is the actual exams are not happening until May, there's likely a longer lead time to make sure everything's in place technology-wise, staffing-wise, equipment-wise, Wi-Fi-wise at your schools. So that would be a conversation I would actually start early. So I guess looking at the things that you can put off, we have a huge milestone with November 15th, right? That's our ordering deadline in the fall. So we want to prioritize everything that we need to do before November 15th, leading up to November 15th. But I do think the one longer lead item that should be addressed in the fall now, as soon as possible, is this preparation for digital testing. So that would be one, sort of taking a look at all your action items, prioritizing, knowing that the digital testing preparation is first and foremost. Also, if you're a new AP coordinator, absolutely come to our online back to school workshop. That is specifically for, we have a learning track within the workshop specifically for new AP coordinators. Well, we will walk through step by step everything that needs to be done in the fall to make sure that nothing gets missed, everything is clearly explained. We have demonstrations of AP registration and ordering. We have plenty of screenshots. We provide all the steps to success in the sequence in which will be easiest and will make the most sense. So I would say number 2 is come to the back to school workshop. Number 3 is just be aware that we have supports all year long, and sort of just keep your eyes open, eyes and ears, podcast, ears, got it. Eyes and ears open, eyes and ears open for resources all throughout the school year. We offer a resource called Chat with a Coordinator, which is an open Q&A forum. We do that over online over Zoom in the fall and again in the spring. Our podcast is every single week. Every Monday, we have a new episode. And that's obviously podcasts are easy to consume because you do that on demand at the time that's most convenient for you. And we'll also have this amazing series of webinars on digital testing as well. So I have colleagues who are preparing those webinars, and throughout at key points throughout the school year, they'll be helping to provide information and guidance on digital testing at the times that make the most sense. These moments during the school year that make the most sense. So those would be we have lots of support, and just keeping your eyes and ears open for those throughout the school year. That'd be my number 3.
Great. You actually anticipated the third question, so good job with that. Apologies to Martha in Oakton High School because her question was, what sports available? So we're all good. Our next question is going to be from Amy from Brawley, California. Both of you can probably jump in on this one. For coordinators and students, and I think that might be an interesting part to explore, what is a best practice to get myself organized prior to digital AP testing?
Can I jump in first because something came to mind immediately? So
Go for it.
I think I could say unequivocally, last year, schools who were involved with digital testing, coordinators shared feedback with us, of course. And one of the key points of feedback was on exam day, students absolutely needed to know how to access their College Board student account. So they had to be able to get in to their account. And can't get into the account, can't test, period. So having a system or a process in place for working with your teachers, working with your staff, however you want to do it at your school, there's many ways to do that, but just trying to do your best to ensure that students can actually type in to their name or email and password to get into their student account is critical because they'll need to do that in the testing room on exam day. So they can't have that information on their phone. It's not going to do any good because they're not supposed to have their phone in the exam room. And likewise, if it auto-fills through their browser, that's not going to happen either. So making sure that students use AP Classroom enough and are familiar, if they use AP Classroom enough, I should say, they should be familiar with how to access their student account and be ready to seamlessly get their exam started on exam day. Karli, what about?
That was exactly what I was going to say. I think for students, there's a lot of things that students have to remember. And with going into an AP exam, there's always a little bit of anxiety and anxiousness about starting this test. So I think working with students and working with teachers ahead of time to just kind of all log in. We should be logging in like a regular fashion so that we're not in that moment of panic on exam day that I can't remember my password or it's not working. So anything that you can do, this is a great thing that you can partner with your AP teachers to do is kind of having maybe those check-ins of, hey, this week can everyone make sure that everybody gets into their AP classroom. If there's anyone with issues, here's the link to account help. So that's something that you can kind of build into your calendar, maybe like once a quarter or once a month, however that looks like for your school site. But I think that's the most important thing is that students have worked so hard to take these exams, and getting into the exam should not be the hardest part of exam day. So I know that when I'm trying to log into my boarding pass, if something's not working with my app, I'm totally stressed out. And I just don't want that to happen to students. I want them to come into the room feeling confident and excited and ready to take their exam. So anything that we can do ahead of time to help with that kind of panic is the best practice, I would say.
A couple more questions. Karli, this one's for you. And we know you already shared one favorite memory of being an AP coordinator, but could you share a different favorite memory of your time as an AP coordinator at Costa Mesa High School?
Sure. I have lots and lots and lots of favorite memories. That's just my only students cheering for me memory. Um, I think that being an AP coordinator, as well as being a counselor, is a really fantastic place to be because I work with a certain portion of the alphabet at school to do school, but then I work with the whole AP population of students for AP. So I'm getting to see a different sliver of my school in a way that I wouldn't normally. But some of my favorite memories are like around May 1st, when exams are around May 1st and all the seniors are coming in with their college sweatshirts, and we're kind of having like a conversation at the beginning when they're starting to come in and saying like, that's where you're committing and that's where you're committing. And there's just this like joy that's in the room of we're finishing out the school year strong and we're going to make it to graduation in a couple of weeks and we're all in this together kind of feel. And I love that about being able to have that relationship with the students, that they're excited to see you because they want to tell you that they're going to go to the school, but then let's sit down and take AP US government also. It's just like a fun experience to have that relationship with students. Thanks for that question.
Thank you to Nikki from Miami for that question. I did not acknowledge her. I apologize, Nikki. And this is going to be our last one. Derek, this is for you. This is from Celise, also Pai Tau High School. How do you stay connected to the student body while being an AP coordinator?
Ooh, that's an interesting question. I know I was very fortunate in my former role when I was AP coordinator at my school, but also heavily involved still with scheduling. I would often see students in my office, and we would. That's more or less my main point of contact. So I think that kind of depends on what your other role is at the school. It can, I think, for many AP coordinators they can be anything. Karli happens to be a counselor and an AP coordinator. That's a fairly common combination. But we also have administrative folks, we have school leaders, we have department chairs, we have non-AP teachers, we have AP coordinators. Their quote other role at the school really varies, and that's one of the things that's fun and exciting about working with AP coordinators is when we are getting ideas, when we're getting suggestions for best practices, when we're getting uh, thoughts and feedback on processes and policies and procedures, we're getting them from all levels, right? So we're getting them from folks at the school who don't normally have a loud voice, let's say, at the school, and we're getting that from principals too. So we have principals who are AP coordinators as well. In fact, several AP staff, people who work in the AP program, are former former educators, formerly involved in AP, whether that be as an AP teacher. But we also have a powerful handful of folks who work in AP who are former AP coordinators too, like myself. So connecting with students really, I think, varies quite a bit. Some AP coordinators, depending on the size of the program, do take a more interactive role with students in terms of helping them with student enrollment, troubleshooting their access to their student accounts, and helping them prepare for exam day. So that can depend on how much support they have at the school, how big their program is. We have AP programs with less than 10 students. We have AP programs with thousands and thousands of exams and thousands of students as well. So it's not one size fits all, but I think Karli, you mentioned having a connection with students is really helpful. And that's one of the things that I know you like is that you get to, as an AP coordinator, you get to see like all students at your school, not just those that are in your caseload as a counselor.
I'm going to jump in with one more question apiece for both of you.
All right.
Let's do it.
Bonus question.
Bonus questions for each of you. So, you're both podcast hosts.
We both are.
You're both podcast hosts.
We claim to be. We claim to be.
Claim to be. I want to know for each of you, what is your favorite podcast genre to listen to in your own free time? Are you listening coordinated yourselves just at all times, or are you listening to other podcasts?
On loop, on repeat. Mine is true crime. I'm an avid true crime podcast listener. And sometimes when I get too scared, I throw in a coordinated episode. What about you, Derek?
Like most people, I don't particularly enjoy hearing the sound of my own voice, so I don't listen to our own podcast over and over again. But I didn't actually know that about you, Karli. I didn't know that true crime was your favorite genre. That is also my favorite genre. I believe it's one of the most popular in the United States, and there are many, many true crime podcasts. So when I need to escape from reality and I want to check out and just go into an imaginary different world and not think about AP for a few minutes, I will dive into a world of murder mysteries and horror stories and things like that. So that's not related to my job at AP. I do enjoy a good true crime podcast as well. All right. Well, thank you everyone for being here. We really appreciate it. Thanks for attending the first live recording of the Coordinated Podcast. I hope you enjoy the rest of your conference. Keep listening to the show. We appreciate you. And I think Karli might have a little something to say at the end.
Yes. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you to those listening. We really enjoy seeing your faces on Zoom and in person, and it's just a joy to be able to connect with you all. So, fellow AP coordinators, for all our continued support of AP students, yep, our support, us in the room, us listening at home, AP coordinators, we are truly good as gold.
And maybe I just don't know. I'll say it over and over and over again till I believe it's so. I'm good as gold.
AP coordinators, despite your best intentions, did you miss out on the AP Coordinator Back to School Workshop?
Fear not. The Back to School Workshop is now available on YouTube.
That's right. And we have 2 on-demand videos available. One for new AP coordinators and one for those with a little more experience.
Or watch them both.
Great idea. Check out the show notes for a link to the videos.
Or you can go to collegeboard.org/AP Coordinator Experience. That's collegeboard.org/AP Coordinator Experience.
Get your popcorn ready. This is one more summer blockbuster you won't want to miss.